Well, you know, 70 views isn't that much for a YouTube video, but I was honestly expecting way less for a very first upload. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Well, we're here. We're reviewing Revolution. I don't know if I even want to properly do an intro, since I know from the last video it was obvious that this wasn't at all meant to be a two-parter and the content of that video was meant to directly lead into this one. So basically, I'm not going to eat up too much of your time with preamble in this, other than just to say if you want a quick overview of my thoughts on the Chris Chibnall era of Doctor Who so far and how those opinions influenced how I feel about this episode, you can go check out my last video and then come back to this one when you're all done. Okay? You done? You all caught up? Yes? No? Well, you should be, because we're carrying on anyway. Also, I didn't mention this in the last video, but I have a Twitter you can follow and the Banter Bus has a Discord server you can join, both linked below. But now, it's time to get into the review. So first we got that cold open, that intro. We got a dude transporting the wreck of the old Dalek casing from GCHQ after the events of Resolution to be transported to wherever, honestly we never even find out. And Mr. Truck Driver Boy stops for tea on the way to his mystery destination, only to get poisoned by this unassuming tea lady who hops in the truck and drives off with it. Yep, dude gets murdered by some woman out of a tea van pulling this evil grimace at him the whole time, and she deadass nicks the truck. I don't know about anyone else, but I get some real 7th Doctor era vibes from that whole situation, you know, evil tea lady poisoning people to nick alien artifacts. It's real Delta and the Bannerman / Paradise Towers kind of stuff. In a good way, obviously. I know those ain't exactly super well-renowned stories, but hopefully you know what I mean. I get those vibes defo in a good way. We also, before that, get a prime example of Chibnall trying to force us to care about a character that's clearly about to die by forcing superficial details about them into the script, like, they had a family, and now they're dead! Care about my character! He did it with the one old security guy and the woman who fell to earth who gets murdered by Tim Shaw immediately after FaceTiming his granddaughter, and now they did it with this guy by having that whole exchange at the beginning before he hops in the truck like, ooh, how's your mum? Someone needs to remind Chibnall that there are ways to make us care about characters other than the fact that families are a thing that people tend to have usually. I mean, someone almost always gets killed in a Doctor Who cold open. Do we really need to care about them? But whatever, it's one of the weird little quirks of Chibnall's writing style. It's blatant in its intent, it takes you out of it, and sure, it's crap, but ultimately it's one of the things I end up overlooking. Just come on, Chibs. Come on. And then we have the scene where Jack Robertson, yeah, Mr. Totally Not Trump from Arachnids in the UK is back, shows off one of his Dalek security drones with the whole fake protest thing, and look, I could honestly already hear the NMD screeching about this scene from miles away about how it echoes all the BLM protests from earlier in 2020 and how Doctor Who is always getting more and more political. And listen, I for one don't see how shows being political is inherently a bad thing. I mean, plenty of shows are known for their satire, plus Doctor Who has always been political. Sometimes it's been more overt than others, but political messages in Who, ham-fisted or well done, is nothing new, and if you're gonna tell me I'm wrong, then I'm sorry, or being delusional. But also there's the fact that this episode physically can't be referencing all the protests that are prominent in 2020, since I'm pretty sure the episode was literally being filmed about 2 years ago back in 2019 with the rest of Series 12. I think so anyway. If I'm wrong about that, definitely correct me. And there's also the fact that this episode's political shtick literally stops right here, or during the scene where the Prime Minister's giving that speech, I guess, but they have the same intent and message behind it, and like I said, it does absolutely nothing with it after that. Like, if I may jump the gun for a sec, I reckon if anything this episode had the potential and laid the groundwork for some really good political commentary and satire, but it just goes nowhere with it. I likely don't even need to explain it, because I'm sure you all know what I mean, but the government invests all this tech on the grounds of security for the British people, but in tests show how they can be used to cull protests and dissent. Rolls them out to line the streets of the country, carrying out surveillance, scanning people's IDs, and everything to try and make sure the government knows who all the people are at all times, and always have a way right there on the streets to brutally crack down with these harsh, overzealous tactics on anyone who seems like they may even cause a little bit of trouble.
We here in Britain, we've never been afraid of the future, but I do understand that what we all crave right now is security. Security in our politics, security in our jobs, security for our families. The technological revolution to enhance your safety. We will alleviate pressure on police and security staff, and all without draining the public purse.
There's some amazing stuff to be explored here, like how would different sectors of the general public react? What would the experiences of the average person adjusting to life with these machines around every corner, always watching and scanning for discrepancies be like? And how could an evil, merciless, fascistic power like the Daleks manipulate this new system and pull the strings in the background for their advantage? It all sounds like it could make for an awesome and thrilling story, but literally none of that gets explored, like at all. The political parallels literally end there. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna keep going through the episode chronologically, not scene by scene of course, so we'll be here all day, just the key points of interest. So then we get some nifty little scenes of character interaction, you know, Ryan and Graham visiting Yaz in a spare TARDIS who's going mad trying to figure out how to find the Doctor. And we see the quote-unquote fam take the matter of Jack Robertson's elusive Dalek into their own hands, even the scene where they try to do a little espionage together and confront Robertson, and these scenes are fine enough. I don't really have any complaints, at least none that I and a lot of others wouldn't usually have with how Chibnall handles these characters. What I want to get to now though is the scenes in the prison. Firstly, where we see what life's like for the Doctor in here, and secondly, the breakout itself, where your boy Jack is here to save the day. Now, the prison is an awesome setting, seriously, from the cells to the holographic arrows directing prisoners where to go, to the sort of break bay area thing with all the other imprisoned creatures with all those New Who callbacks. I could go on, seriously, the prison was such a dope place to see realised on screen and to explore for a bit. I genuinely could have spent an entire episode here. In fact, I actually kind of wish we did spend a whole episode here, or at least more of one. I mean, how are you going to jingle the keys in my face like that? Give me a small sneak peek of how the prison works, kinda, from the Doctor's perspective, and to have this as a big hefty cliffhanger at the end of The Timeless Children, only to wrap it all up when the story's barely even gotten started. I mean, you all know you thought from the trailer and the marketing that this was going to be the companions having to try to stand up to a world-ending threat all on their own, while the Doctor has to race against time to get out of the prison, probably with Jack's help, and to get back in time to save everyone. And that does kind of happen, but the timing's all skewed. We get one small scene of the companions trying to handle shit themselves, one short scene in the prison, and then the breakout scene. We get the reunion, and then for the entirety of the rest of the runtime, we get the story basically chugging on as normal, with the TARDIS team and Jack back together again, working to solve the problem as normal, like the prison stuff never even happened. It feels weird as well, because of all the ridiculous scrapes we've seen the Doctor get out of, I don't think I buy that a prison of all things would be what does her in and holds her down, leaving her helpless. Especially with how easily Jack was able to get her out. Like, come on, this is a maximum security facility set up by an advanced alien race, and Jack was able to hide tools to escape up his arse and just keep them hidden around? Really?
How did you manage to smuggle that in here?
You really want me to answer that?
You don't think these guys would have some kind of tech to detect items hidden in a prisoner's anal cavity? Or detect stuff hidden in cells or whatever?
He's got to go through the new machine.
What new machine?
It's a new machine. It detects stuff all the way up your butt.
Run, Morty! Run!
And we saw how quick and slapdash the Doctor's arrest was. Do you really think anyone who gets arrested in this way is going to be able to ask to pop to the bathroom before we leave for completely innocent and not at all preparation to escape related purposes? Totally not going to go shove a portable time machine into my arsehole before you arrest me. I don't know, everything about the way this was handled, while fun to watch play out and like candy to see Jack and 13 meet, everything about the way it was handled just didn't quite work for me. Hopefully now already you can see what I meant in the last video when I said that this story was a definition of wasted potential. We've got what could have made for some actually really cool, interesting and engaging political satire just squandered, and we've got a dope setting wasted by getting our hero out of there way too early on, and it's definitely not the last we'll see of wasted potential in this story. Now, another thing I'm gonna skip over is the actual scenes of the Daleks taking over, mainly because I have legit no issues with these scenes at all. Everything from the confrontation at the facility in Osaka to the Daleks getting to their casing, actually rising up and starting to exterminate everyone, it's all amazing stuff. And along with Jack meeting 13 and the setting of the prison, it defo all helps contribute to this being the most fun 13th Doctor story. It's a hell of a ride and I enjoy it a lot, especially the specific scene with the Daleks surrounding the Prime Minister and killing her off. That is... dude.
Territorial leader identified. Daleks will not be shut down. Daleks are supreme.
This is some sort of a joke.
Daleks do not joke.
And I do not surrender.
Exterminate. This territory is the property of the Daleks. Daleks are in control. All humanity will be exterminated.
Oh god, that is just... Oh, you know what actually, can we just get that again? That... Yeah, again, give it to me again. Oh, one more time. Oh, yeah, one more time. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's just... Oh.
That was strangely arousing. Ah! Hello, 911? It's Quagmire. Yeah, it's in a window this time.
It's such a cool scene. I've probably rewatched it so many times now. But it would be sacrilege to not mention the exchange between Ryan and 13 in the TARDIS before this. And yeah, the whole 4 minutes to Osaka thing is contrived, but honestly I can forgive it if it's going to give us stuff like this. I don't even have all that much to say other than it just being a really good scene and it just showing that Ryan can actually be a really good, endearing character when Chibs and his mandem actually let him. If you got more scenes like this with Ryan over the course of his time in the show, showing us how he sees things and how his mind works, I might have actually felt a lot more when he leaves later in the episode. Oh, yeah, that happens. We'll get to that. So next time we'll be tackling the resolution of this story. I was about to say how are we here already, but for some people watching it'll be more like, holy shit, we're finally here. Fucking hell. So obviously we've kind of got malicious, evil, alien creatures driving and flying around in tank-like death machines all over the UK, killing everyone in their path. And the Doctor's gonna need to pull an absolute belter of a plan out of her ass to take care of this before they end up killing, you know, literally everyone. So she decides to send a message to an actual Dalek ship in the form of a fake reconnaissance signal to summon the actual Daleks so that they'll come and take on these B-Tech Daleks. You know what? For the rest of this video, you know what? Actually, not even that. Just this whole video. Play a drinking game and take a shot every time I say the word Dalek or Daleks. You will die. You will fucking die. The rationale behind this basically being that there are such things as what the Doctor calls SAS Daleks, who basically aren't in charge of exterminating other life forms and conquering worlds like literally every other Dalek ever, but are basically officers of the Dalek race whose job it is to squash all genetic impurities within the Dalek race. So upon hearing about these Earthborn Daleks, these ones will come and fuck them up, clear up the mess, and then that'll be that. You know, no Daleks conquering Earth, no Daleks exterminating humans, despite the fact that that's just what Daleks do. Just nice and clean, you know, swooping in and taking care of the origin PC Daleks and then just clearing on out of there. Now, I'm kind of in two minds about this as a solution, at least for taking care of the defense drone Daleks. I'm going to play a clip from Channel Pup's Revolution of the Daleks review in which he gives his perspective on the plan, because I do kind of agree and he words it quite well, but also I do have some other things to say.
Oh yeah, we're gonna contact SAS Daleks that will leave the humans alone but kill all of the fake Daleks. Okay, an SAS Dalek is still gonna be a Dalek. Any Dalek is gonna want other creatures dead. It would be awfully convenient for there to just happen to be Daleks that will leave human beings alone. And then when Jack Robertson wants to meet the real Daleks, they want to kill him. Because, you know, he's a human being. So they do want to kill humans. That much is clear. So the whole idea of these SAS Daleks, little contradictory. I think they maybe could have implied that the Doctor's not in her best state and her judgment is impaired by the revelation. She doesn't know who she is anymore, because they do very much touch on the Timeless Child stuff. I think that definitely would have been a better get out there.
Now, Pup is absolutely correct here, and I do agree on paper. I think what I'm about to say here is incredibly contrived, but I can jump through some logical hoops to make this make sense to me personally. If we can talk about canon for a sec, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this story possibly shouldn't have even been able to happen due to all the Earth Dalek invasions that have happened in New Who alone, if those events even are still canon after the events of the end of Series 5. But of course, we already know that the Daleks are obsessed with genetic purity and eugenics and that sort of stuff. I mean, they're living Nazi metaphors, of course they are. But if we're still to believe that since victory of the Daleks, the high-ups of the Dalek race are still these genetically pure paradigm Daleks, who, as we saw in that story, do have the mission statement of killing off any genetically inferior Daleks on the spot, so it does make sense, at least to me, that they would set up some kind of squadron/task force with the goal of eradicating any genetically impure Daleks they find left in the universe. Of course, that is purely just my headcanon, nothing like that is confirmed at all in the story, it is just me trying to make sense of things, but when I keep that in mind I can let it slide. Plus there's the fact that I just like this concept. I mean, it is kind of goofy, sure, but I don't know, there's something oddly charming about it to me. But anyways, we have another part to talk about. The part we're getting onto next is without doubt the most hyped I've been for something Doctor Who related since the Mondasian Cybermen and John Sims Master in Series 10, possibly even before that. And you want to talk wasted potential with me again a little bit? Because like I say, I was hyped for this. This story strikes gold and then pisses it straight up the wall. First, the SAS Dalek ship is hovering in the skies above Sheffield. These big, badass, beautiful boys start descending down from the heavens, shouting about isolating and engaging primary rogue Dalek impurities, which again, like the Prime Minister extermination scene, I could watch and listen to over and over all day. You know what, actually, can we release a recut version of this story that's just those two scenes on loop for an hour? But then, for the first time on our TV screen since 1988, the first time in 33 years, two Dalek factions square up for a Dalek civil fucking war, baby! The OG Daleks land, square up and claim their dominance. They're all like, you ain't real Daleks. Yeah, we are. Nah, mate, you ain't. Nah, we ain't having that. And the Dalek civil war breaks out.
You are impure. The Dalek race must have purity. Exterminate! Exterminate the impurity! Exterminate the impurities!
Now, how do you think this went? How do you reckon this was handled? The entirety of the UK just became a literal battlefield for a Dalek civil war, so I'm sure you can imagine. Thousands and thousands of civilians being caught in the crossfire and killed, entire large portions of towns and cities being reduced to rubble, an apocalyptic nightmare hellscape from space, sweeping across the nation. So, tell me why. We see like 10 Daleks shoot at each other for like 5 seconds on the bridge in Sheffield, and the next we hear about it, apparently all the defense drone Daleks have now been destroyed off screen? What? I am not kidding. If you've seen this episode, you know. The OG Daleks swooped in and lit these defense drone Daleks to fuck up in a massive nationwide shootout, and all we see is one little tidbit of it for a few seconds, and then we're told it's all taken care of and on the ground shit's just back to normal. What the fuck?
No detonation until we're sure that the SAS Daleks have destroyed all of Robertson's creations.
We have exterminated all impurities. You are the final remaining impurity.
It just sucks, man. It's such a shame that we build up something so fucking awesome, something that should have blew up our screens with such a bang, only for that bang to just be more like a little fart, a little poots, little Roman Chibs spreading his big round ass cheeks to the camera and letting off the sound of a balloon deflating in my fucking face. This was probably the biggest waste of potential of the whole story. It would have been so awesome. I know I went fucking on and on about the prison stuff, but I would have gladly sacrificed that to make time for being able to actually get a taste of how dire this situation is by seeing the UK get torn open by these Daleks. But oh wait, Chibs didn't bother to think that far ahead enough about literally anything. He just wrote down whatever sounded like it would look cool and then rushed through it to get to the next cool looking thing. Yay! So, part 2 of this resolution isn't handled quite as badly. We get the final confrontation, and this wouldn't be a revolution review if I didn't talk about how gorgeous this shot of the TARDIS suspended in the air with the Daleks surrounding it was. Seriously, give everyone in that VFX department a raise. That's fucking beautiful stuff right there, especially for this shit. The Doctor baiting the Daleks in and them all just flying straight into the TARDIS. Like, if you watch this episode live, if at that exact moment you heard this, like, deafening thud and felt the ground shake, that was just the sheer force of my jaw hitting the floor. I'm sorry about that. And as awesome as this was, I'm kinda sad to report that it results in more disappointment. Basically, I didn't realize that the episode was almost over, and I was so ready to see a fleet of Daleks actually pursuing and shooting at the Doctor inside the TARDIS itself. Like, I don't think that's really a criticism of what actually happened, since what gets done with this is pretty cool in its own right, and it does make sense. It's more just a case of me not getting what I personally wanted to see. Unlike with the lack of actual Dalek shootouts being seen, which doesn't make sense at all from the standpoint of improving the pacing and helping the narrative flow better. But what actually happens is, this isn't the Doctor's TARDIS, and is actually the spare TARDIS the Doctor picked up in the Timeless Children, and because it has a working chameleon circuit, the Doctor was able to make it look more like her TARDIS to bait the Daleks into coming in, so that she could do this shit to them. Like, look at that shit. That's just... hell yeah, man. Again, an actual inside the TARDIS Dalek Doctor chase would have been cool to see, and I could easily poke holes in this, multiple ones to be honest. In fact, so you mean to tell me after wiping out all the defense drone Daleks, every SAS Dalek that came is now surrounding the TARDIS and is part of the group that enters the spare TARDIS and gets destroyed? All of them? Every single one? There's still none more out there? Okay. When looking at the quote-unquote TARDIS from outside, we can clearly see the interior of 13's actual TARDIS, but when it cuts to the inside, it has the interior of the other TARDIS, despite it being consistent throughout the show, that whatever you do to the exterior, the actual interior can always be seen when looking in through the doors. Why would the Doctor even need to change the interior in the first place? Are these SAS Daleks mega Whovians who'd look through the doors and see the interior of the spare TARDIS and be like, well actually, that's the wrong TARDIS interior for this Doctor, so... And yes, I'm aware that if we could see the other interior from outside, that moment wouldn't have had anywhere near as much impact. It's literally me being an overzealous nerd pointing out nitpicks, so do with all that what you will. Oh yeah, and also during all that, Yaz is helping Jack, Ryan, and Graham sneak onto the SAS Dalek ship to plant explosives and blow it up. And yeah, I don't know, it all just seems super unceremonious compared to all the other stuff we got going on. Same with all the stuff with Jack Robertson too, like, ooh, he tries to sell humanity out to the Daleks and then he gets off scot-free. What a bastard. Look, I don't care, alright? I just don't care. I can't be arsed. Like, my focus is completely elsewhere in this episode. Like, I'm sorry, I just do not care. I just don't give a shit about Jack Robertson as a character. He was a serviceable semi-villain in this, sort of semi-human villain, but, like, when it comes to this stuff, I just don't care. I just can't be arsed. And because this has been dragging on forever now, I'm gonna just skip straight to the ending with Ryan and Graham's exits. And look, I really don't have much to say. For such a big deal in the episode, this is one of the things I probably have the least amount of things to say about it. Like, it's not done horribly. It's a sweet scene with some nice lines and rounds off Ryan and Graham's characters quite well. It's just a shame their characters weren't given anywhere near enough the treatment we needed during series 11 and 12 to make me really care. I mean, it's not like I didn't care at all, because I did. I do like these two guys. It's just I feel basically bored indifferent to them leaving because it doesn't feel like they were here all that long. It feels like they've barely even gotten started. And compared to the exits of some other New Who companions, the emotional weight of some of them leaving completely tips the scales in my opinion. But with that, we finish this amazingly, terribly, awesomely, whatever the fucky mixed bag of an episode. So, to finish things off, I did have a couple of nitpicks to share, but they ended up making the script way too long. My recording of the audio is already about 20 minutes, so I'm just going to skip straight to my outro, and I'm going to leave those nitpicks in the comments, so if you fancy engaging with that, you can have a read of that, have a little look at it, see what you think, reply to it if you agree, whatever, that'd be nice. So, the main takeaway from this video I want to leave you with is that despite all that, all the shit I had to say, I did really enjoy this episode. The things I did like were just way too enjoyable for my issues with it to drag it down to an overall bad episode for me. A horde of Daleks descending onto Earth or taking over from the inside out to fuck shit up, followed by a big fuck off Dalek shootout is something I'm always gonna have time for, even if the words big fuck off is a big exaggeration. The prison setting, while like I said short-lived, was an awesome place to see realised on screen, and Jack getting back with the Doctor, especially a new one we haven't seen him interact with before, is always going to be great. John Barrowman is just too much of a gem of a human person to have a bad time with while he's on screen, unless his character gets botched up in writing. But due to his work on Torchwood, Chibnall has more than enough experience writing Jack to not get him wrong. Maybe some of you weren't happy with his portrayal, and that's fine, but I personally found it perfectly faithful. And of course, the character interactions that have been clambering forth throughout practically all of series 11 and 12, I'm never going to complain about that. Basically, this story is very deeply flawed, and the ways in which it could have improved are at times glaringly obvious. But like I said, this was the most fun I've had with the entire era so far, because there were aspects that really made me feel something, left me wanting more, and gave me shit to say, which is way better than the bored indifference I felt towards most of the episodes to come out during Chib's time as showrunner. And that's my review. Thank you for tuning your vibes in my direction for the duration of this video. If you did, I really hope you enjoyed watching it and hearing what I had to say. If you agreed with what I said, or disagreed, or agreed with some things and not others, that's all perfectly fine, so feel free to leave it on down in the comments. I'd be super interested to know what you thought of this video. We're going to be taking a break from the Doctor Who content for a good while, because like I said before, Doctor Who is not the main thing I want to focus my channel on. If anything, that's a side thing. I've got plenty of talk about my channel's main focus, which is video games, coming up, so if that sounds more like your thing, then get excited. We may or may not have a video about a certain popular character's best licensed game that was recently remade coming up next, so that'll be fun, right? But yeah, thank you so much for watching, all you BEA useful people, however many of you there may be, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!
Why you can trust it, shall